What's up, girlfriends? It's Cindy Ray back again with another video. Now, my last video about spirituality, that video popped severely, and I'll leave the link to that video in the description box down under so you can check it out after this. So I decided to come back and give you another video about spirituality that I hope helps you on your path. Also, if you guys like this lip gloss, my last video was actually about this lip gloss, which is the best lip gloss ever. So if you want to see what lip gloss that is, please click my last video. I will leave the link in the description box below. Now, this one is going to be on tips about starting your spiritual journey. Just things that I've done personally and that I've gone through that I hope will help you. But I just want to make a disclaimer first. First of all, if you are here to say that I am being controlled by the devil or Satan, you've come to the wrong video and you're about to waste your time because I'm going to delete your comment. That's just what it is. This video is going to be non-denominational. You can be Christian, you can be practicing Islam or Hinduism or anything that you want, and watch this video and know that I'm not going to come at you sideways. I'm not going to disrespect you because I love you and I will respect you with every fiber in my being as best as I can. So if I say anything in this video that maybe you don't like, just know that it's my personal experience and I'm not trying to be any type of way to anybody. Because a man who knows something knows he knows nothing at all, which is one of my favorite quotes. I truly believe that, and I'm not going to try to impose my own beliefs or views onto anybody. Also, if you notice, I am playing an instrumental song in the back of this video because in my other video I played Nubian Delight, which is a song that I always use, but it made a lot of people uncomfortable because the audio level either was too loud for them and it was competing with what I was saying, or it was too low, and a lot of people actually felt like I was playing subliminal messages in the background of my video. I don't know if maybe it's because of the content of the video. A lot of people were like scared about it. I promise it wasn't a subliminal message. I play that song in every video, but I took that criticism constructively and decided to play an instrumental. So without further ado, I just want to hop right into this video. I know there's like a huge trend going on right now about like girls who burn sage and like who do crystals and like all these other little cute trendy things. And the human in me gets pissed off about that because it's like, I hate to see the things that I do become the thing to do. But I really hope that maybe it's like a part of this mass universal awakening and we're all going to become less judgmental and loving towards each other and use the gifts that we were given, like sage and essential oils and crystals, in order to heighten our human experience, because really we're just spiritual beings having a human experience. Which brings me to my next point about being intimidated about starting your spiritual journey. Please understand that you are not starting your spiritual journey because you're watching this video. You've been on your spiritual journey. Whether you want to believe that you started this spiritual journey lifetimes ago or when you came out of your mother's womb in this lifetime, you've been on this journey. Your spirit chose to come here for a reason, which is at least how I like to think of it, and it's all happening for a reason. So a little bit about my spiritual path is that I grew up in Christianity. My parents are the type of people to do Bible study at home because they don't believe in like the traditionalism of organized religion. And I say all that in the sense that like, this is how they always do it at a Baptist church, so this is how I'm comfortable doing it now, or this is how we always do it at a Pentecostal church, so I'm going to continue with that same tradition. My pastor, every pastor I've had drove a Mercedes, so like of course I'm gonna like give my offering to give my pastor this Mercedes. My parents weren't really like that. They didn't really vibe with that. They were more interested in reading the Bible and figuring out what it said for themselves rather than going with the interpretation that has been passed down for centuries. So I grew up with like Bible studies on the weekends rather than going to church every week. And there were times that we went to church a lot because my grandparents went. There were times where I was like gung-ho about throwing myself into the church and reading a chapter in the Bible like every night and stuff like that. But I never really felt connected with the Christian faith as others have before. Like, I've always felt the presence of God and I've always felt loved and like I was, you know, being protected. But I never was like, I feel like I have a very personal connection with the characters in this Bible or with like Jesus. Like, I never really felt like Jesus as he is depicted was for sure like what I was connected with. It was more of like a just being. Like, I felt more connected in a Holy Ghost type of way than I did with like Jesus the person type of way, which pushed me into another direction, and then I started getting into more of like this African spirituality that I'm still very interested in, but I kind of like had to be careful of not throwing myself into it because, you know, we all have our own paths and there's no one way that I have found out personally to do it. So when people come to me and tell me like, this is the only way, you have to be initiated into this group and you have to get baptized or else you're not going to be able to, like, I've always felt a connection with God, so y'all can miss me with all of that, was like my mindset. Like before I was baptized, I felt a connection with God. I'm not initiated into any type of African spiritual group, so I still feel connected with God. I still know that I'm manifesting things for the good of my life and things are working in my favor. So I never really felt the need to do all that. And I also started questioning things like knowing that if I was born in another part of the world, I would not be telling somebody that unless they accept Jesus in their life, they're going to be outside of God's grace for eternity after they die. Like I knew that if I was born maybe like somewhere in the Middle East or even in Africa, I probably wouldn't have that same mindset. And then like thinking about the even in Africa thing kind of brought my mind towards slavery and what that looked like, and like colonialism and how we had our own spirituality until people came and imposed what they believed onto us, and it kind of made us subservient to them, and it made us obey them in a way that we wouldn't if we were not bombarded with that religion. And everybody has their own views, but when I saw it and I really looked at the way that Christianity is taught today in modern times, not everybody, but a lot of times it really looks like a setup for a patriarchal society and white supremacy. And the white supremacist stuff kind of came after the fact, like when people started depicting God as like a white man, but the whole like father he thing kind of threw me off from the beginning. Like I never really got the sense that God was a man. I never felt that way in my heart. I also really felt like I am of God and God is in me because women are creators. Like when you talk about creating life, we do that. So to me, it never was like, I never thought of God as like a severely masculine being because I know that women are the creators. So that's just where my mind went with it personally. And I kind of took that and decided that I wanted to maybe float out in limbo for a little while and see what it really was that I felt in my heart, and still connect with God on a more of a personal level rather than like an organized religious level. And I decided not to let anybody tell me the right way to do things, like the right way to honor my ancestors. So that's just like how I feel. I don't want to like give you guys too much about like my personal beliefs because I want you to have your own journey. I feel like if I were to tell you, hey, this is how you do it, I'd be robbing you of the experience. And also my journey is not the same as yours, so you really shouldn't be listening to me. My point is, you shouldn't really be listening to anyone when it comes to like what your specific beliefs are. However, there are some things that I feel like will actually help you a lot with figuring things out and kind of wading through that water. So the first thing, obviously, everything that I've been talking about up until this point is questioning all beliefs. That is what I first started doing when I was becoming intentional about my spiritual path. The second thing that I did was I really just tried my best to create a safe space. I created this space in my room where I can just go and meditate and say my affirmations and things like that. I also have a few safe spaces like literally in this earth, like this beach that I go to or the place that I always used to go canoeing and stuff like that. Safe places in the world where I feel like I could be connected and where I can get to that higher place. Me personally, I have a little setup in my room where I have all my sage and incense and candles, and realizing that it's not in the candles, it's in myself was probably another one of the biggest things ever, but that could be a conversation for another video as well. But I have that space where I can just go and kind of chill out and figure life out. So this one is super important because things are kind of universally connected. So it's like when you're being more aware about the things that you put in your body and on your body and that you allow to seep into your mind, like your music and the things that you watch, when you're being intentional with those things because you're honoring yourself, it also helps you with things like, you know, not consuming fluoride because it's calcifying your pineal gland, or not consuming meat products or as much meat products. You guys know I'm vegetarian, Sometimes I dabble in a little bit of sushi, but I'm pretty much completely vegetarian, and it helps you a lot with the clarity of mind. They're all connected. So you're really doing these things in the physical sense, and it is helping your mind and your soul prepare for the enlightenment that is to come. I really hope that part made sense. If you guys have questions, like, please just put them in the comment section below. The next thing I started doing is becoming very aware of traditions, and kind of whenever I would see things, I would Google it and Google the roots of it, and eventually I ended up seeing all like these pre-plotted dots and then connecting the dots, and then it's like a whole picture, and you're just like, whoa, so this is what all this means. Like, it just helped me a lot with, you know, when you don't know where to start, when you start paying attention to things and you're like, why do we pour liquor out for, you know, our friends when they pass away? Like, when you think about things like that, and then you realize that it started in Africa with, like, you know, giving an offering to the dead and to the ancestors and people who have lived before you or who are not on this physical plane anymore, it kind of just takes you into a rabbit hole, and then you start looking up all this other stuff, and it kind of starts to make a complete story, and you see why, you know, other people have done it in the past. And that goes along with another point that I have that my mom actually taught me growing up. She always used to tell me, you don't have to learn things the hard way. You don't have to learn from your own mistakes all the time. Sometimes you can learn from other people's mistakes. And in this sense, you can learn from other people's practices. So my ancestors did X, Y, and Z. Maybe instead of having to go through things the hard way and take forever to find out, you know, my path, I can look at what they did and learn from that and see if that'll get me closer to where it is that I want to go on my spiritual path. The next thing is something that I think is super, super huge. The quote that I said in the beginning about a man who knows something knows he knows nothing at all. Please don't try to force your beliefs on anybody, because at the end of the day, it's like, we're all on a journey. We're all on a path. We're all trying to figure things out in the best way we can, hopefully. So forcing your beliefs on somebody when you're not even in your final form is pretty foolish, because you might change your mind. And then years later, you run into that person and they're all the way deep into this religion that you don't even believe in anymore. So be very careful, because when talking about a spiritual journey or spiritual experiences, there also is a really great deal of responsibility. So like, yeah, don't try to force it on other people, because really, what do we know? For real, for a fact, like, what has been completely proven to us, even if it's not like a matter of right and wrong, because right now my ideas about right and wrong are shifting actually again. Everybody has their own path, and I feel like if you try to tell somebody how to do something or how to be spiritual, you're kind of robbing them of their journey, and that's not fair to them. The next thing is a huge one. Do not let people scare you. There are people in this world who will try to tell you that any deviation from whatever it is that they believe is going to send you to a bad place, or it's going to make you reincarnate as something that is unfavorable, or whatever it is that their spiritual belief is. They'll try to scare you and intimidate you, bully you into conforming into whatever it is that they're saying. And truthfully, I don't really know what people get out of that. I think sometimes it comes from good intentions, because they're really concerned about your spirit and your soul, and they feel like they don't want you to veer off onto the wrong path of darkness and all that stuff. So I get it, and you really have to judge people's intentions like with an open mind. Don't just cut people off because they're trying to deter you from doing something, but also don't stop just because people are trying to scare you into conforming with whatever they say. In their heads, they're doing the right thing and they're protecting you, and I think that it's very important to understand that, but also not letting that deter you from doing what you have to do for yourself is so important. The next thing I'm gonna say is to be very careful about who you let advise you. I just personally feel like my journey is my own, and I don't really need to go through a middleman in order to get there. Now, there are some people who you can learn from and who will teach you if you go through their whole system and things like that, but I personally just don't believe in spending a ton of money to get initiated into any type of group when I could just do the research myself. And also realizing that not everybody has the best intentions for you. And then the second to last thing is just not being afraid to be wrong. This is a journey. It's all a learning experience. We're all trying to grow here, okay? So if somebody says something that conflicts with what you believe, then they just, you know, maybe you need to revisit what you were thinking before. Like, it's not like anything terrible is gonna happen because you learned. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't be afraid to be wrong. I can't stand seeing people argue each other down about religion and things like that, because it's like, I don't have a clear memory at this point in my life about what is beyond this realm, okay? Maybe one day I'll get there, but at this point in time, I don't have a clear vision of what is beyond this earthly realm. So why would I sit here and argue you down about like what you believe? And the last thing of all things is, we already spoke about being on your spiritual journey from the jump, okay, when you were first created. Unless it's 3 a.m. and you're in a weird part of YouTube and you just happen to stumble across this video, the fact that you looked this up and clicked on this video, you have already started becoming intentional about your spiritual journey. So that is something that I'm very proud of you about. That is something that I'm hoping that you excel in, and that you have a life full of love and pursuing. And just be comfortable with the fact that it's all a process. It's not a sprint, it's definitely a marathon. Like Nipsey, the marathon continues, and we're gonna keep pushing and trying to be the best people that we can be. So like I said before, please look in the description box below and check out my other video about manifestation. If you guys want to see anything else about spirituality or anything aside from that, please let me know. I hope you guys really liked this video. It took me so long to record it, and I hope that it's not that long in duration, and I hope that it actually helped a lot, because like, I don't know, I'm trying to be very careful about the things that I say, because everybody has different beliefs here. So just moving through things with respect and love. Let me know if there's anything else that you want to see from me. So, you know, I hope you liked the video. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, and share. Follow all my social media accounts right down there, and I'll see you in the next one.